The New York Times today issued their endorsement for the Democratic primary, and they endorsed two people. And it's fascinating. And they laid out that there are really three visions of America that Americans are going to be able to choose. Two of the three in the primary, in the Democratic primary, and then whatever's left, in the general election. I lay all this out. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. What are the biggest challenges that we're going to face 1 year from today? And not just the new president and the new Congress, assuming that there's a new president, but you and me, all of us. What challenges do we face going forward, essentially either reinventing America or transforming America? I mean, this is kind of at the essence of what the New York Times is talking about today in their endorsement of Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren. Every 4 years, the New York Times and all the major newspapers do this. They endorse candidates for president, and local statewide newspapers endorse candidates for the Senate and governor and things like that. And they point out that there are three sharply divergent visions of America. And I find it really interesting that they made this trifurcation. There's the Donald Trump vision of America, which, to quote the New York Times, white nativism at home, America first unilateralism abroad, brazen corruption, escalating culture wars, a judiciary stacked with ideologues, and the veneration of a mythological past where the hierarchy in American society was defined and unchallenged. In other words, women knew their place, people of color knew their place, class divisions were clear, and everybody just needs to go back to that. Right? This is, Donald Trump's vision of America is essentially the John Birch Society in the 1960s, reacting against everything from Brown v. Board in 1954 all the way up to the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act of the mid-1960s. So you've got that vision, which is currently the entire Republican Party. And then you've got these two visions represented by Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren, according to the New York Times. And they make the point that these two visions are basically, Klobuchar is saying that Trump is an aberration. It was just an accident that he was elected president, or it was the result of, Russian interference or something, but it's not a normal thing. And we just need to return to normal. This is how the New York Times is characterizing Amy Klobuchar's understanding of the political moment. And that we return to normal by going back to the times when Democrats and Republicans worked together to slowly but measurably improve life in America. Now, in my memory, and I've been around a long time, that would be pre-1980. Because these huge ideological and political divisions, in my mind, just, started with the Reagan administration in 1981. So you've got that. And then on the other side, you've got Elizabeth Warren, the New York Times says, who is just coming right out and saying, well, quoting the New York Times, President Trump was the product of political and economic systems so rotten that they must be replaced. Now, one of the things I thought was most interesting in the New York Times endorsement or op-ed or whatever was, they say Democrats must decide which of these two models would be most compelling for the American people and best suited for repairing the republic. And, feel free to weigh in on that, without trashing one candidate or the other, please. I really want to avoid the circular firing squad. But if you want to speak on behalf of one candidate or the other, feel free. Or any other Democratic candidate. The New York Times passed over Bernie, saying that he would be 79, his health is a serious concern, and he boasts that compromise is anathema to him. And you should read the op-ed. It's fascinating. I'm not, I'm of the opinion that Bernie Sanders is a good candidate too, who could win just as easily as Elizabeth Warren or Amy Klobuchar. But what I find fascinating about this entire thing is this idea that there are these three visions of America. Because, I would argue that Elizabeth Warren's vision of America right now, that our systems are corrupted and broken, was essentially Franklin Roosevelt's vision of America and Harry Truman's. And to a very, very large extent, John Kennedy's and Lyndon Johnson's, when they took on, head on racism in America, poverty in America, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King. I would say that vision that Dr. King represented is the vision that says, no, America is broken. It's been broken for a long time. But it's particularly broken right now, I think he would say, although I can't deign to speak for him, here or not. And I think that the vision that America isn't broken, that it just needs some tweaking and some careful thought and deliberate and let's get back to normal, that was the Republicans prior to 1980. And it was the Democrats under Bill Clinton and Barack Obama to a certain extent. And I don't mean that as a hit. I mean, this is just incremental change, which is kind of the definition of conservative. Incremental change is a good thing, and I'm not opposed to incremental change. I get it. And I think if Amy Klobuchar was president, I think she'd do a great job. And Elizabeth Warren, president, do a great job. Or frankly, pretty much any of the Democrats who are running.